conference room glass walls hummed with a low drone of fluorescent lights, but Dominic Hale froze mid-sentence, his pitch on quarterly projections dissolving into silence as the new client's face sharpened into focus, Elias's cheekbones, Elias's crooked smile, Elias's eyes that once held the entire Gotham universe. He blinked hard, heart slamming against his ribs like a trapped bird, but the man across the table was a stranger named Marcus Reed, shaking hands with the team lead while Dominic's world tilted on its axis, the ghost of what he'd lost bleeding into the fluorescent glare. In that instant, he knew, Seattle's relentless rain couldn't wash away the choices that haunted him, and Elias was everywhere now, a specter in every suit, every smile, every fleeting glance that promised forgiveness he didn't deserve. Dominic gripped the edge of the polished oak table, his knuckles whitening as the meeting dragged on. Marcus Reed droned about market synergies, his voice a bland echo in the high-rise tower overlooking Puget Sound. But Dominic's mind was 1,000 miles east, tangled in the humid summers of Brooklyn where he'd first tasted Elias's lips under a fire escape dripping with evening rain. It was 2017, their junior year at NYU, and the city had felt infinite then, endless blocks of possibility stretching like veins through concrete skin. Dominic had been a poly-SCI major with dreams too big for his beat-up backpack, scraping by on barista shifts at a hole-in-the-wall cafe in Williamsburg. Elias, with his wild curls and paint-splattered jeans, had wandered in one afternoon, ordering a black coffee with a sketchpad tucked under his arm, his green eyes locking onto Dominic's like they were the only two souls in a crowded room. "You look like you could use a story," Elias had said, sliding onto a stool and flipping open his pad, charcoal flying across the page in furious strokes. Dominic laughed, wiping foam from his apron, but something in Elias's gaze pinned him, raw, unfiltered, like the artist saw straight through the exhaustion to the boy who'd grown up in a crumbling suburb outside Chicago, dodging his father's disappointments and his mother's quiet tears. By closing time, they were walking the East River Promenade, the Manhattan skyline glittering like a promise. Elias talked about his installations, massive sculptures of recycled metal that captured the ache of urban isolation, and Dominic confessed his hunger for power, for boardrooms where his voice could reshape the world. "You're going places," Elias murmured, lacing their fingers as the ferry horns wailed in the distance. "Just don't forget to pack me in your suitcase." They didn't. For 2 years, it was a fever dream of stolen weekends in lofts that smelled of turpentine and takeout Thai, bodies pressed together in the narrow twin beds of dorm rooms that creaked under their urgency. Elias's hands mapped Dominic's skin like it was canvas, tracing the faint scar on his collarbone from a childhood bike crash, whispering poetry into the hollow of his throat. Dominic, in turn, learned the rhythm of Elias's breaths after nightmares, visions of his absent father, a drifter who'd left when Elias was 6, leaving behind only a battered guitar and a stack of unpaid bills in their Queens apartment. They healed each other in fragments, late-night drives to Coney Island for hot dogs at dawn, Elias's head on Dominic's shoulder as they watched the waves crash like unspoken fears. But ambition is a thief, silent and relentless. In the spring of their senior year, the offer came from Apex Dynamics, a tech giant in Seattle scouting East Coast talent. Entry-level analyst, 6 figures starting, stock options that whispered of penthouses and power. Dominic stared at the email for 3 days, the cursor blinking like a heartbeat. Elias found him on the fire escape, chain-smoking menthols he'd sworn off months ago. "This is it," Dominic said, voice cracking. "The ladder. I climb now, or I never do." Elias's face crumpled, but he forced a smile, that crooked one that always broke Dominic's resolve. "Then climb, baby. But remember, ladders go both ways." They made love that night like it was an exorcism, slow and desperate, Elias's tears salting Dominic's skin. The goodbye at JFK was a blur, Elias's fingers lingering on Dominic's jaw, promising video calls and visits, until the world bends to us. Dominic boarded the plane with his heart in his carry-on, the Space Needle piercing the clouds like a needle to his vein. Seattle hit like a cold slap. The city was all glass and grey skies, coffee shops churning out lattes strong enough to fuel the endless grind. Apex's campus sprawled like a futuristic fortress in South Lake Union, employees buzzing between pods of ergonomic chairs and koi ponds that mocked the rain-slicked streets outside. Dominic threw himself into it, spreadsheets bleeding into sunrises, happy hours that stretched to last calls, networking mixers where handshakes sealed futures. His first promotion came at month 9, a corner cubicle overlooking the ferries slicing Elliott Bay. He texted Elias photos, "Look at this view. Miss you carving pumpkins on my balcony." The replies came slower. Elias's world was the village galleries, late nights welding rebar into shapes that screamed of fractured hearts. "Proud of you, Dom, send Seattle rain for my next piece." But the time zones gnawed at them, Dominic's 7 a.m. meetings clashing with Elias's 2 a.m. inspirations. Calls devolved into static apologies, "I love you, but..." That but grew teeth. When Dominic flew back for Thanksgiving, the loft felt foreign, Elias's latest sculpture, a twisted cage of wire and bone, looming in the corner like an accusation. They fought in whispers over cold pizza, Elias's voice raw, "You're slipping away, and I'm just holding the rope." Dominic promised more, weekends in the Cascades, a ring someday, but the flight home was a solo ascent, the cabin pressure popping his ears like bursting illusions. By year 2, the ghosting was mutual. Elias's texts turned to emojis, then silence. Dominic dated a barista with tattoos like Elias's sketches, a venture capitalist whose laugh echoed wrong. Nothing stuck. He climbed higher, senior analyst, then project lead, his name on emails that moved millions. The apartment in Capitol Hill was sleek, minimalist, IKEA hacks giving way to West Elm deliveries. But at night, the king bed swallowed him whole, the city lights mocking the empty half. He scrolled Elias's Instagram and Elias at openings, arms slung around curators with easy smiles, captions like "Forging New Paths." Dominic liked them all, thumb hovering over the heart like a prayer. It was the 3rd anniversary of his move when the dream came. Elias, ethereal in the Brooklyn haze, reaching out with hands that dissolved into smoke. Dominic woke gasping, the sheets twisted like restraints. He Googled Elias's name on a whim, the results a punch, Elias Crow, rising star in contemporary sculpture, solo show at MoMA PS1. The photo showed him leaner, curls longer, eyes distant. Dominic's chest ached, a bruise that wouldn't fade. He typed a message, "Hey, stranger. Coffee sometime," and hit send before regret could claw it back. The reply came at dawn, "Seattle's got good coffee." When? Dominic's pulse thundered as he paced his kitchen, the Keurig gurgling like distant thunder. Elias was coming. The prodigal lover, bridging the chasm Dominic had carved. He pictured it, reunion at Pike Place, salmon flying overhead like old jokes, hands rediscovering paths long overgrown. But as he shaved that morning, staring at the fogged mirror, doubt crept in. What if Elias had changed? What if Dominic had? The razor nicked his chin, blood blooming like a warning. The airport pickup was a haze of nerves. Dominic's Audi idled curbside, wipers slashing at the drizzle. Elias emerged from the terminal, duffel slung over one shoulder, looking every bit the artist, faded denim jacket patched with gallery pins, boots scuffed from studio floors. Their eyes met through the glass, and time folded. Elias slid into the passenger seat, the scent of his cologne, sandalwood and clay, flooding the car like a memory. "You look good," Dom groaned into that jawline. "You too," Dominic managed, pulling into traffic, the Space Needle looming like a question mark. The drive to Capitol Hill was stilted at first, small talk about flights, the latest indie flick, but then Elias's hand brushed his on the gearshift, and the dam broke. Laughter spilled out, stories tumbling, Elias's MoMA triumph, the critic who'd called his work a requiem for lost intimacies, Dominic's boardroom wars, the merger that saved his team but cost a colleague's job. By the time they parked, the air hummed with possibility. Dinner was at a waterfront bistro in Belltown, candlelight dancing on oyster shells. Elias's foot nudged Dominic's under the table, a silent Morse code. "I missed this," Elias said, voice low over the clink of wine glasses. "Us. The way you listen like you're memorizing me." Dominic's throat tightened. "I never stopped." They walked the piers after, arms linked, the Olympic mountain silhouettes against the dusk. At Dominic's door, the kiss was inevitable, slow, searching, Elias's tongue tracing the seam of Dominic's lips like a homecoming. They tumbled inside, clothes shedding like old skins, bodies remembering what words had forgotten. Elias's moans filled the loft, hands pinning Dominic to the mattress, their rhythm a defiant reclaiming. Morning brought coffee in bed, Elias sketching lazy lines on Dominic's thigh with his fingertip. "Stay," Dominic whispered, tracing the constellation of freckles across Elias's nose. "The city's got space for us." Elias's smile faltered, just a flicker. 1 week. Then back to the chaos. But in that moment, with sunlight slanting through the blinds, Dominic believed they could rewrite the ending. The week blurred into bliss. Mornings at the market, haggling over tulips, afternoons in Discovery Park, boots sinking into mud as they hiked fern-choked trails, Elias collecting pebbles for a potential piece. Evenings were theirs, cooking paella from a half-remembered recipe, wine loosening confessions. Elias admitted the loneliness post-breakup, the one-night stands that tasted like ash. Dominic owned his climb's cost, the promotions hollow without someone to celebrate. "I thought success would fill it," he said one night, head in Elias's lap on the couch. "But it's you. Always was." Yet cracks spiderwebbed. Dominic's phone buzzed incessantly, emails from Apex, deadlines looming like storm clouds. He silenced it, but the guilt gnawed. Elias noticed, his green eyes sharpening over breakfast. "Don't vanish on me again, Dom." "Not here." Dominic pulled him close, promising the weekend off. They drove to the San Juans, ferrying to Orcas Island, renting a cabin overlooking the strait. There, under star-pricked skies, they made plans, Elias scouting Seattle galleries, Dominic angling for remote flexibility. "Soulmates don't expire," Elias murmured, their fingers intertwined like vows. Back in the city, reality intruded. Apex's annual retreat loomed, a mandatory schmoozefest in the Cascades. Dominic begged off, but his boss, Vanessa Klein, a shark in pearls, cornered him. "This is your shot, hail." The VP spots circling. Elias overhead on speakerphone, his voice tight, "Go. We started this, we can pause it." Dominic went, the lodge a frenzy of keynotes and kayaks, networking till his jaw ached. Late-night texts to Elias went unread till dawn, "Miss your voice. Home tomorrow." The return flight was turbulence incarnate, mirroring the knot in his gut. Elias met him at baggage claim, but the hug was perfunctory, Elias's duffel already packed by the carousels. "Soldiered through?" Elias asked, eyes shadowed. Dominic nodded, launching into retreat anecdotes, but Elias's laugh rang false. At the apartment, the air thickened. "I get it," Elias said finally, zipping his bag. "The climb. But I can't be the anchor you drop when the wind shifts." Dominic's plea died on his lips as Elias kissed his forehead, soft, final, and slipped out into the rain. The door clicked shut like a guillotine. Dominic sank to the floor, the silence roaring. He'd clawed his way up, but the peak was barren, Elias's absence a chasm swallowing light. That night, sleep evaded, the bed vast and cold. He scrolled their old photos, thumb tracing Elias's smile, the ache blooming into resolve. No more ghosts. He'd fight for this. But ambition whispered louder. The VP interview came a week later, Vanessa's office reeking of ambition and espresso. "You're our golden boy, Dom, seal this, and the world's yours." He nailed it, charts flawless, vision sharp. The offer landed that afternoon, salary bump, equity, a corner office with bay views. Champagne at the team bar, toasts to his future. Dominic smiled through it, but the bubble soured on his tongue. Elias's flight was that evening. Dominic raced to SeaTac, weaving through traffic, horns blaring like accusations. He found him at gate C12, boarding pass in hand. "Wait," Dominic gasped, crowd parting like a biblical sea. Elias turned, surprise softening to sorrow. "Dom, the job?" "It's just paper," Dominic lied, grabbing his hand. "You're the story." They talked in whispers by the windows, planes thundering takeoffs below. Elias's flight boarded, but he lingered, their foreheads pressed. "Call me when you mean it." The gate agent called his name, and Elias walked away, a silhouette dissolving into the jetway. Dominic drove home in the downpour, wipers frantic. The offer email waited, glowing on his screen. He hovered the cursor over accept, heart fracturing. Click. The promotion party was a blur 2 weeks later, craft beers in a Fremont brewery, colleagues slapping his back. Vanessa raised a glass to Dominic Hale, future kingpin. Laughter echoed, but his eyes snagged on a bartender, tall, curly-haired, green eyes flashing as he poured. Elias's ghost, serving IPAs with a wink. Dominic blinked, and it was gone, just a stranger named Tyler. He drained his pint, the bitterness lingering. Months blurred. Apex consumed him, emergers, metrics, midnight oil. Elias's number faded from speed dial, but not memory. Sporadic texts, saw your promo. Proud. Gallery show soon. Wish you were here. Dominic replied in fragments, excuses piling like unread mail. Christmas came, a solo flight to Chicago, his mother's embrace tight with unspoken worry. You sound hollow, honey, she said over eggnog. He deflected with career tales, but her eyes, hazel like his, saw through. New Year dawned with resolutions he broke by February. A blind date via app, an architect named Riley with easy charm. Dinner at a Queen and Spot, candlelight flattering. Riley's hand on his knee felt foreign, Elias's echo mocking. Dominic excused himself mid-entry, fleeing into the sleet. Home, he drunk dialed Elias, voicemail swallowing his slurs, I fucked up. Come back. No response. Spring thawed the city, cherry blossoms carpeting the U district like confetti from a party he missed. Dominic threw himself into work, the corner office a gilded cage. Views of ferries ferrying strangers, while he ferried regrets. Vanessa noticed the edge. Burnout's a bitch, Hale. Take a beat. He nodded, booking a solo hike in the Olympics, solitude to stitch the seams. The trail was mud and mist, pines whispering indictments. At a overlook, wind whipping, he screamed Elias's name into the void, the echo mocking. Tears came, hot and unbidden, knees buckling to damp earth. I chose wrong, he sobbed, the admission freeing. Back in Seattle, he emailed HR for leave, 2 weeks, unpaid. First stop, JFK. The loft was sublet, a subletter answering the buzzer with confusion. Elias's neighbor, Mrs. Kowalski, pressed a forwarding address into his palm, a studio in Bushwick, the boy's been a shadow since you left. The cab ride was eternal, Brooklyn unfolding like a rebuke. Dominic's knock echoed, heart in throat. Elias opened the door, shirtless, charcoal smudges on his chest, eyes widening. Dom? What the? I quit climbing, Dominic blurted, stepping inside before the door shut. The space was chaos, canvases leaning, half-formed sculptures glinting. Elias's laugh was bitter. Till the next peak calls? No. Dominic pulled him close, the kiss fierce, tasting of salt and second chances. They collapsed onto the futon, hands frantic, bodies a map of forgiveness. Afterward, tangled in sheets, Dominic whispered plans, relocate, freelance consulting, a life woven not chased. Elias traced his scar, voice soft, prove it. Summer sealed it. Dominic sublet his Seattle pad, crashing on Elias's floor, pitching remote gigs to Apex contacts. They rebuilt in layers, farmers' markets in Prospect Park, Elias's hands in Dominic's as they picked heirlooms, nights at dive bars, karaoke duets butchering Springsteen. Elias's next show loomed, echoes of absence, pieces born of their rift, wire hearts suspended, shadows playing on walls like regrets. Opening night was electric, the gallery thrumming with critics and collectors. Dominic hovered by the wine, pride swelling as Vanessa, flying in for a conference, texted congrats. Elias found him amid the crowd, suit rumpled, eyes alight. You came, Elias breathed, pulling him into an alcove. Their kiss was public, unapologetic, a declaration. "This is home," Dominic said, hand on Elias's heart. But ambition's shadow lingered. Apex countered his leave with a counteroffer, full remote, lead on a Brooklyn pilot. "We're expanding east," Vanessa emailed. Temptation gnawed, but Dominic deleted it, choosing instead a local startup, modest pay for balanced days. Elias beamed over breakfast burritos. Soulmates evolve. Fall painted the city gold, their rhythm steady. Yet whispers of doubt ooh Elias's late nights, unexplained absences. Dominic brushed it off, ART's demands, till one evening, returning early from a client lunch, he found the studio door ajar. Inside, Elias on the phone, voice hushed, "I can't, not yet. He thinks we're solid." Pause. "Love you too, Mark." The name landed like a blade. Mark, the curator from the MoMA show, the one with easy smiles in photos. Dominic's world tilted, betrayal's cold bloom. He backed away, silent, the stairs a descent into hell. The rain in Brooklyn fell harder that night, hammering the fire escape like judgment from the gods. Dominic wandered the streets, collar turned up against the chill, the city lights blurring into neon accusations. Mark. The word looped in his skull, a mantra of ruin. How long? Since the show? Before Elias's visit to Seattle? The pieces clicked, Elias's hesitations, the packed bag at SeaTac, the new paths captions. Dominic had stormed back from the abyss only to find the bridge burned twice over. He ended up at a dive-in bed-stewie, the kind with sticky floors and jukebox blues. 2 whiskeys in, the bartender, a burly guy named Pete with a rainbow pin on his apron, slid a napkin his way. "Rough night, kid." Dominic stared into the amber swirl, the liquor burning less than the truth. "The one I fixed myself for." "He's got someone else." Pete nodded, no pity, just the worn wisdom of bar stools. "Happens. But ghosts don't haunt if you let them go." Dominic laughed, hollow. "Ghosts." Elias was no spectre, he was flesh, warm and treacherous. Dawn found him on a bench in Maria Hernandez Park, pigeons scattering as he dozed fitfully. The phone buzzed. "Elias, where are you?" "Missed you last night." Dominic's thumb trembled over reply, rage and grief warring. He typed, "Heard you on the phone." Mark. Sent. The ellipsis danced, then, "Dom, come home." "It's not what," he powered off, the screen black as his resolve. The walk back was a funeral march, Bushwick's murals mocking with vibrant lies. Elias was at the easel when Dominic entered, brush paused mid-stroke, face ashen. "You weren't supposed to," Elias started, setting the charcoal down. Dominic's voice cracked like dry earth. "How long?" Elias deflated, sinking onto a stool amid the clutter. 6 months. After the show. He gets it, the art, the hours. "You were always half in Seattle." The word stung, truth's barb. Dominic paced, kicking a canvas aside. "I quit everything. For us." Elias's eyes, those green pools, welled. "I know. And I tried. God, I tried. But waiting. It hollowed me out." They argued in circles, hurt flung like shrapnel, apologies dissolving into sobs. Elias reached for him, but Dominic recoiled. "I can't be the fallback." He left with a duffel of essentials, crashing at a friend's sublet in Greenpoint, a graphic designer named Theo, all ironic tattoos and empathy. "Stay as long as," Theo said, brewing tea strong as sympathy. Dominic nodded, collapsing on the air mattress, the harbor view a taunt of what he'd lost twice. Days bled into freelance pitches, coffee-fueled code for indie apps, but focus frayed. Elias's texts piled, "Talk to me." I ended it with Mark. "Please." Dominic read them in the dead of night, heart twisting, but pride sealed his silence. Apex's pilot launched without him, Vanessa's emails a mix of opportunity and olive branch, doors open, hail. Brooklyn needs you. He ignored them, diving into local scenes, volunteering at a queer youth center in Williamsburg, teaching resume workshops to kids navigating their own closets. Their stories echoed his, fathers who didn't understand, first loves that shattered. One evening, a teen named Javier cornered him after session. "You look like you get it, man. How do you move on when it's your soul?" Dominic's throat closed. "You don't. You carry it lighter." October's chill deepened, leaves carpeting the sidewalks like fallen dreams. Theo dragged him to a gallery crawl in Dumbo, the warehouses pulsing with light and laughter. Dominic nursed a gin, eye scanning crowds out of habit, when a familiar silhouette emerged, Elias, alone, nursing a beer by a kinetic sculpture of gears and glass. Their gazes locked across the room, the air thickening. Elias approached slow, like approaching a skittish deer. "You look steady." Dominic shrugged, the gin loosening his guard. "Surviving." They talked, awkward at first, skirting the wound, then deeper, Elias's cancelled show, the fallout with Mark who'd called him unreliable. "I pushed too hard," Elias admitted, voice raw. "Feared losing you again." Dominic's chest ached. "You did anyway." But the pull was magnetic, old rhythms resurfacing. They walked the Brooklyn Bridge after, fog rolling off the East River, lights twinkling like hesitant stars. At the midpoint, Elias stopped. "I love you. Still. Always will." Dominic's resolve cracked. "Me too." The kiss was tentative, then torrent, hands in hair, bodies pressing against the rail, the city witnessing their fragile truce. They tumbled back to Theo's, the air mattress protesting under their weight, love making a blend of fury and forgiveness. Elias stayed till morning, sketching Dominic's sleeping form, the lines tender. But reconciliation is no fairy tale. Days turned tentative, coffee runs, shared studios where Elias welded and Dominic coded side by side. Yet shadows lingered, Elias's phone silenced during meals, Dominic's freelance gigs pulling late hours. One night, over takeout lo mein, Elias broached it. "Move in." "For real?" Dominic hesitated, the old fear coiling. "What if I drag you down again?" Elias cupped his face. "We're anchors, not weights." They signed the lease on a Bushwick walk-up, sunlight streaming through grimy windows, a blank canvas. Winter blanketed the city in snow, their first holiday together a quiet triumph, tree trimmed with Elias's wire ornaments, Dominic's mother's fruitcake shipped from Chicago. New Year's found them on the rooftop, champagne flutes clinking under fireworks. To us, Dominic toasted, Elias's arm warm around his waist. Spring brought bloom. Elias's rescheduled show, Fractured Bonds, drew raves, a piece called A Ladder to Nowhere's mirroring their story, twisted metal rungs ascending to void. Dominic stood beside him at the after-party, fielding collector's envy. "He's the muse," Elias quipped, hand possessive on Dominic's back. Pride swelled, but so did pressure, his startup client expanding, traveled to Seattle for pitches. 2 days, he promised, kissing Elias goodbye at Penn Station. The trip was triumph, contract signed, Apex ghosts banished with polite declines. But on the red-eye back, his phone lit with Theo's text, "Check on Elias." He seemed off. Unease gnawed. The cab from JFK deposited him at dawn, the walk-up silent. Inside, Elias was at the table, sketchpad open to a half-drawn face, Mark's. "Couldn't sleep," Elias muttered, closing it quick. Dominic's stomach dropped. "Talk." The confession spilled, a weak moment post-show, drinks with Mark turning to more, just once, to feel wanted. Elias's eyes pleaded. It meant nothing. Dominic's world fractured anew, rage hot. "Nothing? While I'm fighting for us." He stormed out, the door slamming like finality. Wandering the pre-dawn streets, snowmelt pooling like tears, Dominic's mind reeled. Betrayal's cycle, his ambition, Elias's fear, dooming them. He checked into a hostel in the East Village, the bunk narrow as his hope. Days passed in isolation, runs along the Hudson, therapy sessions booked on a whim with a counselor named Lena, her office smelling of sage and second chances. "What do you want?" Dominic?" she asked, voice gentle. "Not the ghost. The man." He called Elias from a payphone, voice steady. "We end this. Clean." Elias's sob echoed. "I broke us." "We both did," Dominic said, hanging up before grief pulled him under. Summer scorched the city, Dominic subletting a room in Chelsea, immersing in work, a queer tech non-profit, building apps for community organizing. The mission grounded him, stories of resilience echoing his own. Elias vanished from socials, whispers from mutuals of a retreat to the Catskills, healing through clay. Autumn winds carried change. Vanessa reached out, not for Apex, but as friend, heard you're in Brooklyn. Coffee. Over lattes in Soho, she shared her own regrets, a wife left for the corner office. Success is a mirror, Dom reflects what you put in. Her words lingered, prompting a letter to Elias, unsealed on his studio door. "I forgive you." "Forgive me?" "Live well." No reply, but peace settled. Dominic dated casually, a barista named Kai with dimples and dreams, light touches, no depths yet. Holiday lights twinkled, his mother's visit a balm, her hug whispering approval. "You sound whole, honey." New Year dawned solo, but not lonely, Theo's party, laughter genuine. As confetti fell, Dominic's phone buzzed. "Elias. Saw your letter. Thank you. Show in spring, come." He replied, "Wouldn't miss it." The gallery was alive that April evening. Elias's work evolved, mended voids, sculptures of scarred metal blooming into light. Elias found him amid the throng, older, softer. "You came." Their hug was fraternal, boundaries clear. "Proud of you," Dominic said, meaning it. Elias smiled, genuine. "And you, radiant." Outside, under cherry blossoms, they walked, stories flowing easy. No kisses, but closure's warmth. Soulmates shift, Elias said. But the love stays. Dominic nodded, heart light. Seattle called, a new gig, leading diversity initiatives at a startup. Time for coasts to align, he joked. The flight west was smooth, city swapping for evergreens. His new apartment overlooked the sound, unpacked boxes a promise. First sunset, he raised a glass to ghosts, Elias, ambition, the boy who'd chosen wrong. To healing. But fate twists. Months in, a conference in NYC, panels on inclusive tech. Post-talk, a mixer at a midtown lounge. Dominic networked, charm dialed, when a voice cut through. "Dom Hale?" "No way." He turned, Marcus Reed, the client from that fated meeting, grinning wide. Small world. Over drinks, Marcus shared, sculptor, based in Brooklyn, met this guy Elias at a residency, wild talent. Dominic's blood chilled, the name a spectre. "Know him?" Marcus asked. Dominic forced a smile. "Intimately." Marcus leaned in, eyes twinkling. "He's single now." Mentioned a ex who got away. The words hung, possibility flickering. Dominic's pulse quickened, old flames stirring. "Tell me more." The night stretched, stories weaving, Marcus's quiet strength, his love for Elias's fire. "He's healing," Marcus said. "But misses the spark." Dominic listened, envy mingling with ache. As they parted, Marcus slipped him a card. Elias's next show. Come. For old times. Back in his hotel, Dominic stared at the skyline, Manhattan's pulse syncing with his. Ghosts weren't gone, they evolved. He texted Elias, heard about the show. Marcus says hi. Ellipsis. Come. Let's talk, for real. The reply, doors open. The red-eye to LaGuardia felt like a pilgrimage, turbulence jolting Dominic awake to visions of Elias's hands, calloused from clay, gentle on his skin. Seattle receded below, a green blur of what ifs, while New York loomed, concrete heart demanding reckoning. He'd packed light, one carry-on, no expectations, just the card from Marcus burning in his pocket like a talisman. The cab from the airport snaked through dawn traffic, billboards flashing like memories, Elias's favorite taqueria, the gallery where they'd first danced. The show was in Chelsea, a converted warehouse pulsing with pre-opening buzz. Dominic arrived early, weaving through techies and tastemakers, the air thick with varnish and veiled ambition. Elias's pieces dominated, massive installations of fused glass and steel, voids filled with projected light that danced like captured breaths. Resonances, the catalogue called it, echoes of connection, loss, rebirth. Dominic lingered by the centerpiece, a helix of mirrored shards reflecting fractured selves, his own face multiplying infinite. Elias emerged from the back, sleeves rolled, hair tied in a hasty knot, spotting him instantly. "You came." No accusation, just wonder. They stood there, the space between them humming, until Elias pulled him into a side room, storage crates and half-packed boxes, the door clicking shut. Marcus blabbed, "Who?" Elias said, half-smile wry. Dominic nodded, throat dry. "He seems solid." Elias leaned against a crate, arms crossed, vulnerability etching lines around his eyes. "He is. Help me through the dark. But you're the origin story." The admission hung, heavy with history. Dominic stepped closer, the scent of turpentine stirring ghosts. "I didn't come to disrupt. Just to see you thrive." Elias's laugh was soft, pained. "Thrive's relative. Therapy, sobriety from the doubts, yeah. But empty." Their hands found each other, tentative, then sure, palms pressing like vows renewed. The kiss ignited slow, a spark to tinder, Elias's back against the wall as Dominic poured years of longing into it. They broke apart gasping, foreheads touching. "Stay tonight," Elias whispered. "The loft's mine again." The after-party was a whirlwind, champagne toasts, collectors cooing over prices that made Dominic's startup salary blush. Marcus cornered him by the bar, pint in hand, grin easy. "Knew you'd show." "Elias lit up when I mentioned you." Dominic clinked glasses, gratitude mixing with guilt. "Thanks for bridging." Marcus shrugged, eyes kind. "Love's not zero-sum. He needs you both, maybe." The words landed, a new paradigm. They slipped away at midnight, Elias's Vespa rumbling through village streets, Dominic's arms tight around his waist, wind whipping regrets away. The loft was transformed, walls lined with shelves of pots and tools, a new bedframe sturdy under the skylight. They made love like explorers, mapping changes, Elias's new tattoo, a ladder dissolving into wings on his ribcage, Dominic's leaner frame from trail runs. Whispers in the afterglow, "I sold the Seattle place," Dominic confessed. "Full East Coast." Elias propped on elbow, tracing his jaw. "And the career?" Dominic smiled, real. Balanced. "The non-profit's remote-friendly. Us first." Dawn crept in, painting them gold, and for the first time, hope felt solid. But integration is jagged. Dominic's lease in Brooklyn loomed, a bridge apartment in Williamsburg pending approval. Meanwhile, he crashed at the loft, their mornings a symphony, Elias brewing pour-overs while Dominic fielded calls, laptop side by side on the kitchen island. Yet friction sparked, Elias's chaos clashing with Dominic's planners, late-night inspirations pulling Elias from bed while Dominic craved routine. "Art doesn't punch clocks," Elias snapped one evening, palette knife clattering. Dominic bit back, "Neither does love. But it needs tending." Couples therapy entered via Theo's nudge, Lena's great for queer dynamics, sessions in a sunlit office overlooking the Gowanus, Lena's questions peeling layers. What fears linger, she'd ask, and they'd unearth. Dominic's dread of abandonment, rooted in his father's mill closure and sudden exit, Elias's terror of invisibility, the drifter dad's legacy. Progress was incremental, date nights enforced, no phones dinners where they shared rose and thorn of days. Summer sweltered, the city a steam bath. They escaped to Fire Island Pines, a friend's borrowed beach house where rainbow flags snapped in the breeze. Days blurred, volleyball on dunes, bodies slick with salt and sunscreen, evenings bonfires with a circle of artists and activists, stories of Stonewall echoes and modern marches. One night, under meteor showers, Elias turned serious. "Marry me." Not a ring, but a wire band he'd forged, twisting in the firelight. Dominic's yes was a sob, slipping it on, the metal warm as promise. Fall brought commitments. Dominic's non-profit expanded, a grant for VR experiences amplifying marginalized voices, queer histories in digital realms. Elias's residency in the Hudson Valley meant weekends apart, but they framed it as growth, not gap. Thanksgiving in Chicago, Dominic's mother, Ellen, enveloping Elias in hugs, her Midwestern warmth thawing his edges. "You've got a keeper," she whispered to Dominic over pie, eyes twinkling. Elias charmed with tales of sculptures that breathe, earning her seal. But winter's grip tightened doubts. A snowstorm stranded Elias upstate, video calls glitching into frustration. Dominic's holiday party at the non-profit, catered charcuterie, drag queens emceeing, felt hollow without him. "Go without," Elias urged. "Network." Dominic went, schmoozing funders, but a colleague's hand on his arm lingered too long, wine loosening boundaries. Nothing happened, but the guilt gnawed, confessed in a midnight call. "Trust's fragile," Elias said, voice staticky. "Rebuild it." Spring thawed the rift. Their engagement party was low-key, a rooftop barbecue in Bushwick, fairy lights strung like stars, Theo DJing indie folk. Marcus attended, toasting with grace, to loves that circle back. No awkwardness, just alliance, Marcus dating a poet now, orbits aligned. Vows planned for summer, a justice of the peace on the Brooklyn Heights promenade, intimate circle. Yet climax brewed in subtlety. Dominic's grant hit a snag, funder pullout over edgy content, queer narratives deemed risky. Stress mounted, deadlines crushing. Elias sensed it, offering space, create in the studio. "I'll weld quiet." But one evening, returning early, Dominic found Elias on the couch, phone in lap, Mark's name lighting the screen, not a call, but a deleted text, "Miss our talks." Heart plummeting, Dominic confronted. "Old flames." Elias paled. "Just closure." He reached out, apology for the mess. Rage flared, old wounds reopening. "Closure? While I'm drowning." The fight escalated, words weapons, Dominic accusing Elias of emotional hedging, Elias retorting Dominic's workaholic ghosts. Plates shattered, a vase of tulips spilling red like blood. "Maybe we're poison," Dominic hurled, storming to the bedroom, door locked. Silence fell, heavy as fallout. Elias slept on the couch, the loft a minefield. Days passed in civility, coffee poured, but eyes averted. Lena mediated, crises reveal fractures. Mend or part? They chose mend, raw sessions excavating, Elias admitting Mark's contact stirred validation cravings, Dominic owning stress as sabotage. "We're human," Lena affirmed. "Loves the practice." Healing's path wound through vulnerability. They recommitted, no ex-contact, work boundaries sacred. Summer solstice brought the wedding, sunset over the East River, vows exchanged with wind in their hair. "I choose you, every climb," Dominic said, ring sliding home, gold band etched with ladder rungs. Elias's, in voids and lights, "You're home." Guests cheered, Theo snapping candids, Ellen dabbing tears. Honeymoon in Provincetown, dunes and drag brunches, hands held on whale watches. Back home, life layered richer, joint bank for the loft Reno, weekend hikes in the Palisades. But the grant crisis peaked, board meeting loomed, Dominic's pitch make or break. Elias prepped him nights, role-playing funders, his belief a shield. The meeting was a coliseum, suits scrutinizing slides, questions sharp as scalpels. Dominic stood firm, voice steady, "These stories aren't risks, they're revelations." Silence, then applause, the grant doubled, funders moved. He called Elias from the lobby, elation spilling. "We did it." Elias's laugh, "You did." Celebrate. The party was theirs, backyard fire pit, friends toasting resilience. Marcus brought wine, clinking with Dominic, knew you'd saw. As embers died, Elias pulled Dominic aside. Proud doesn't cover it. Their kiss was seal, future bright. Yet autumn whispered tests. Elias's big commission, a public art piece for Hudson Yards, meant travel, sketches in Manhattan's glare. Dominic supported, but solitude stirred old Loneless. One weekend alone, he scrolled old Seattle photos, the Space Needle a needle of nostalgia. A headhunter emailed, Apex VP role, East Coast base. Lucrative, it tempted. He deleted, but the seed planted. Elias returned glowing, maquettes in tow. This could change everything. Dinner that night, pasta and confessions. Dominic admitted the offer. Tempted? Elias asked, fork pausing. For a second. But us? Elias nodded, but I shadowed. Trust's work eternal. Winter holidays, Chicago again, snow blanketing the Hale bungalow. Ellen's feast, stories of Dominic's boyhood, bike races, first crushes hidden in diary locks. Elias absorbed, later whispering, your roots run deep. Back in Brooklyn, they hosted, potluck with queer kin, laughter echoing off new walls. Spring's renewal, Elias's piece unveiled, a helix arching over the plaza, lights pulsing like heartbeats. Dedication speech, for loves that bend but don't break. Dominic in the crowd, tears pricking. After, rooftop reception, city sprawling below. Marcus pulled Dominic aside. He's all in. You? Affirmation surged. Always. But crisis crested subtly. Dominic's non-profit hit expansion pains, staff hires, budget strains. Late nights returned, laptop glow casting long shadows. Elias withdrew, studio hours doubling. One dawn, argument ignited over burnt toast, you're vanishing again. And you're retreating. Words escalated, Elias hurling, maybe Mark was right, I'm too much chaos. Dominic's retort, or I'm too safe. The slam of the door echoed. Elias gone, note, need air. Catskills. Dominic collapsed, grief tidal. Calls unanswered, days blurring into panic. Theo intervened, go get him. Road trip north, highways winding through greening hills, heart pounding. The residency cabin smoked chimney-wise, Elias on the porch, clay-caked. You drove. Shock softened to embrace. Couldn't lose you third time. Inside, fire crackling, truths poured, fears of codependence, dreams deferred. We're a team, Elias said, hands clasped. Pivot together. Return southbound, plans hatched, sabbatical shared, joint project blending code and sculpture, VR art for queer archives. Summer sealed it, installation premiere, virtual voids mended by touch. Critics raved, Hail Crow, a union of tech and soul. Fall deepened bonds. Engagement anniversary, surprise getaway to Seattle, Elias's first, rain welcoming. Space Needle climbed, views vast. Full circle, Dominic said, ring glinting. Elias, and just beginning. Winter's hush, family blends, Ellen visiting with pies, Elias's mom, a rare call from Oregon, voice warming. Holidays merged, traditions woven. Spring's bloom, pregnancy talk? No, adoption seminars, futures imagined with little feet pattering lofts. Our legacy, Elias dreamed. But Peak's shadow, Apex poached a colleague, whispers of headhunt. Dominic deflected, but Elias sensed. Choose us. He did, countering with non-profit board seat. Climax quiet, anniversary dinner, candlelit Italian. Toast, to ghosts banished. Laughter, love. Yet, in every meeting, virtual or flesh, Elias's eyes lingered, a ghost no more, but guardian. The adoption seminar was held in a sun-dappled community center in Park Slope, the room buzzing with couples clutching pamphlets like lifelines, same-sex pairs navigating the labyrinth of agencies, home studies, and waiting lists that stretched like marathons. Dominic sat beside Elias, their knees brushing under the folding table, a shared notebook scribbled with questions, open versus closed. Transracial considerations? The facilitator, a warm lesbian named Carla with silver streaks in her bob, projected stats, thousands of kids in foster limbo, queer families rising like tides. Elias's hand found Dominic's under the table, squeezing, anchor in the unknown. Afterward, over gelato in a nearby shop, the high faded into reality's bite. It's years, Dominic said, spooning stracciatella, the cream cold against the thrill. Elias nodded, green eyes distant, licking pistachio from his thumb. Worth every wait. But doubt flickered, Elias's career peaking with commission stacking, Dominic's non-profit scaling nationally. Our lives are chaos, Elias admitted, wiping a drip. Kid needs steady. Dominic pulled him close over the wrought iron table, pedestrian streaming past. We'll steady together. The home study began that fall, a social worker named Priya invading their Bushwick walk-up with clipboards and gentle probes. She noted the loft's evolution, Elias's sculptures now cornered safely, Dominic's desk organized amid the creative sprawl, a nursery nook roughed in with neutral paints. Tell me about your partnership, Priya said, perched on the futon, tea steaming. They tag-teamed, Dominic on the logistics of blended finances, Elias on the emotional weave, how fights forge stronger seams. Priya smiled. Resilience shines. Winter holidays amplified the dream. Ellen arrived laden with baby blankets knit in her Chicago winters, eyes misty as she surveyed the nursery sketches, Elias's wire mobiles dangling like stars. You'll be naturals, she declared over latkes, Elias charming with toasts to family expanded. His mom's video call from Portland bridged coasts, her voice gravelly from years waitressing, proud, boys. Make space for joy. The tree twinkled with new ornaments, tiny hammers and code brackets, Hope's fragile baubles. Spring thawed approvals, profiles submitted to agencies, waiting games vigil. Elias channeled it into a series, unborn echoes, abstracts of empty cradles in metal, evoking longing's ache. Dominic's VR project synced, immersive worlds for foster kids, virtual families healing real wounds. Their premiere overlapped, a joint event in Soho, tech meets art, queer icons toasting. Marcus emceed, his poet Beau reciting verses on chosen kin. To Hail Crow he boomed, building bridges where blood falls short. Summer's heatwave tested tempers. The call came mid-July, match, a 3-year-old boy, Javier, from a Texas border shelter, mom deported, dad vanished. Papers flew, visits virtual then in person. Houston's humidity clung as they met him, wide-eyed, clutching a stuffed armadillo, Spanish tumbling shy. Hola, soy Elias, Elias knelt, his artist hands gentle. Dominic translated, heart-swelling, we're friends. Want to play? Javier's giggle cracked the tension, blocks stacking into towers that teetered like their fears. The transition was torrent, flights shuffling, court dates in fluorescent hells, Javier's nights screaming nightmares in the loft. Elias rocked him through storms, lullabies in broken Spanglish, Dominic built forts from cushions, stories of superheroes with 2 dads. Priya's check-ins praised adaptation, but cracks showed, Elias's sleep-deprived, commissions delayed, Dominic's meetings zoomed from playgrounds, focus fractured. One dawn, Javier down with fever, Elias snapped over meds, this is harder than I dreamed. Dominic held him as sobs came. We're in it. Fall rooted them. Javier, Harvey now, blossomed, first English words, Daddy Dom, finger paint smearing Elias's jeans. School hunt, a progressive Montessori in Bed-Stuy, rainbow flags waving. Holidays triple joy, Thanksgiving with Ellen and Elias's mom in town, Harvey's turkey drawing taped to fridge. Family, he lisped, and worlds aligned. But crisis loomed in layers. Dominic's non-profit faced audit, funder scrutiny on impact metrics, queer focus under fire as niche. Late nights pouring ledgers, stress bleeding into home. Elias withdrew to studio, Harvey sensing the chill, clingy tantrums erupting. Miss Happy, Harvey wailed one evening, blocks scattering. Guilt gnawed Dominic, snapping at Elias over dinner, can't carry it all. Elias's retort, then share, not hoard. The fight festered, Harvey shuttled to Theo's for breathing room. Lena reconvened therapy, virtual now with kid chaos backdrop. Parenting amplifies shadows, she noted. They excavated Elias's dad fear, absent blueprint, Dominic's provider pressure, Chicago Mill echoes. Homework, weekly check-ins, no work zones. Progress, family hikes in Prospect Park, Harvey's laughter glue. Winter's gift, audit cleared, grant renewed with fanfare, gala in Tribeca, Harvey in tiny tucks waving from Carla's lap. Elias unveiled a commission, plaza piece with child silhouettes, roots rewoven. Dedication, Harvey unveiling plaque, cameras flashing. For my daddies, he beamed, world melting. Spring's renewal, Harvey's birthday bash, Pinata bursting candy rain, cousins from Oregon zooming cheers. But undercurrent stirred, Apex headhunt resurfaced, VP role hybrid, NYC base, travel light. Stability for Harvey, it tempted. Dominic confided in Ellen over call, torn. Her wisdom, money builds houses, love builds homes. Elias overheard a call, eye storming. Not again. Argument ignited, it's for us, better schools, security. It's the ladder, Dom. Always. Harvey interrupted, tear streaked, no yell. Heartbreak collective, they paused, hugging him tight. Lena mediated, ambition versus presence, balance, not battle. Decision brewed, counteroffer to non-profit, exec director, pay bump sans travel. Accepted. Elias's relief, chose us. Summer sealed, beach trip to the Hamptons, borrowed house with waves lapping dreams. Harvey's first boogie board, wipeouts into giggles. Bonfire nights, stories of origins, Harvey's Texas sun, their Brooklyn rain. Fall deepened, school start, Harvey's backpack oversized, first day tears Dominic's. Elias's solo show, kin forged, sold out, pieces of family in steel. Marcus bought one, toasting at opening, legacy lives. Winter holidays, Portland visit, Elias's mom gifting Harvey a guitar, tiny strums echoing. Chicago next, Ellen's tree farm outing, Harvey sledding wild. Back home, New Year's quiet, fireplace, Coco, Harvey asleep between. This is peak, Elias murmured, Dominic's head on shoulder. Spring's bloom, Harvey's art class, finger sculptures aping Elias's. But subtle shift, Elias's energy waned, fatigue chalked to deadlines. Check up, nothing, but worry seeded. Summer's heat, family camp in the Berkshires, cabins, canoeing, queer families bonding. Harvey's fish caught, pride beaming. Yet Elias paled during hikes, breath short. Just heat, he waved. Fall's whisper, diagnosis dropped like thunder, lymphoma, early stage, treatable. World halted. Oncologist's office sterile, words blurring, chemo, remission odds high. Harvey shielded, daddy sick? Fix. Elias's brave face, like superhero cape. Crisis crested, treatment scheduled, loft a war zone of pill bottles, Harvey's questions gentle knives. Dominic juggled, work from home, daycare drops, Elias's infusions draining color. Fights flickered, let me help, Dominic urged, not burden, Elias pushed. Lena adapted sessions, cancer tests loves elasticity. Healing's forge, community rallied, Theo meal trains, Marcus gallery fundraisers, Ellen flying in monthly. Harvey's drawings, superheroes battling bad guys, Elias the strongest. Remission scans clean by winter, cheers echoing loft. Spring's triumph, Harvey school play, tree in the giving tree, Elias in front row, wig askew but grin wide. After party, cake smeared, toasts to survival. Summer's grace, remission party, Hudson River cruise, Harvey dancing wild. Elias pulled Dominic aside, you carried us. We carried. Fall's reflection, Elias's memoir commissioned, sculpted lives, ghostwriting with Dominic's input. Harvey's stories woven in. Winter's warmth, holidays blended, Harvey's first snowman family. New Year's, to ghosts healed. Yet in meetings, boardrooms, infusions, Elias's hand in Dominic's, no spectre, but spirit. Remission's afterglow painted the loft in tentative gold, but cancer's shadow lingered like faint scars on Elias's skin, pale undertones where vibrancy once bloomed unchecked. Dominic watched him over breakfasts, the way Elias's hands trembled slightly pouring cereal for Harvey, or how he'd pause mid-laugh, catching breath like a secret. "I'm fine," Elias insisted one crisp October morning, ruffling Harvey's curls as the boy chattered about school buses. Dominic nodded, but the worry coiled tighter, a spring in his chest. The nonprofit's annual summit loomed, a week in San Francisco, keynotes on digital equity, and leaving felt like abandonment, even with Ellen flying in to hold the fort. The airport goodbye was a ritual now, hugs layered with instructions, call if fever spikes, Harvey's nut allergy, Elias's kiss fierce, tasting of resolve. Go conquer. We're solid. Dominic boarded with laptop and longing, the flight west a blur of spreadsheets and stolen glances at family photos on his phone, Harvey's gap-toothed grin, Elias's arm slung casual, their unit unbroken. San Francisco's fog mirrored his mood, the conference hotel a hive of innovators pitching apps for everything from climate tracking to therapy bots. Dominic's panel, Queer Voices in Code, drew crowds, Q&A spilling into happy hours where funders pressed cards like amulets. Midway through, a text cascade, Ellen's all good, pie baked, Harvey's voice note lisping Miss Daddy Dom, draw to dragon. Then Elias, scan tomorrow. Routine. Love you. Dominic's keynote faltered mid-slide, voice catching on visibilities not optional. Back in his room, he paced fog-shrouded views of the bay, dialing Lena for an unscheduled vent. Fear's louder post-diagnosis, she affirmed, her calmer tether. Name it, don't let it name you. The scan results landed during a networking brunch, Elias's call crackling through, clear. Again. Relief flooded, Dominic excusing himself to the terrace, tears mixing with sea spray. Coming home early, he vowed, rebooking the red-eye. The loft welcomed him at dawn, Harvey's squeal echoing as he tackled legs, Elias in the doorway, robe loose, eyes shadowed but soft. Couldn't wait. Elias teased, pulling him into the kitchen where pancakes sizzled. That night, with Harvey tucked, they reclaimed the bed slow, hands reverent on healed skin, whispers of gratitude weaving through moans. November's chill brought decisions. Elias's memoir deal expanded, book tour tentative, chemo's toll capping energy. Scale back. Dominic suggested over cider at a Fort Greene bar, leaves crunching underfoot. Elias swirled his glass, reflection fracturing. ART's my oxygen. But family's air. They compromised, virtual readings, local launches, Harvey's naptime chapters. The writing sessions became ritual, Elias dictating to Dominic's notes, stories of Brooklyn boyhood, the drifter dad's guitar strings snapped like promises. Thanksgiving swelled the loft, Ellen's turkey, Elias's mom's cranberry relish shipped west, video toasts from Portland kin. Harvey, in pilgrim hat, recited facts from school, Squanto helped. Earning claps. Post-feast, men folk on the fire escape, Dominic and Elias bundled, city hum below. Grateful, Elias murmured, head on shoulder. For the fight. December's dash, Harvey school pageant, innkeeper in nativity, stealing scenes with ad-libs. Elias filmed, shaky from cold but beaming. Holiday cards designed, family portrait by Harvey's crayons, Hailcrow clan. Gifts wrapped, for Elias, a custom easel with adjustable heights, Harvey, a clay kit, Dominic, Elias's forged keychain, unlock every day. New Year's Eve, block party in Bushwick, bonfires and beats, Harvey fizzing with sparklers under Theo's watch. Midnight kiss amid confetti, Elias's vow another lap around the sun, with you. Fireworks burst, mirroring heart spark. Winter's grip eased into January's resolve. The non-profit's expansion hit hurdles, budget shortfalls from economic dips, staff burnout post-pandemic. Dominic's exec role meant layoffs, grim math, nights wrestling spreadsheets till eyes burned. Elias noticed, studio quieting early. Delegate the weight, he advised, massaging shoulders knotted as rope. But pressure mounted, board pressure for sustainable scaling, whispers of merger with a larger org, soulless, straight-laced. One blizzard night, power flickering, argument brewed over reheated soup. Merger means stability, Dominic argued, Harvey asleep upstairs. Elias's spoon clattered. Stability? Or sellout? Your soul's in the queer core. Words escalated, Dominic accusing Elias of idealism untethered to bills, Elias retorting with ambition siren call. History repeats, Elias hurled, storming to studio. Door slam echoed, wind howling a chord. Morning brought frost, coffee silent, Harvey's questions deflected with cartoons. Dominic trudged to co-working space, snowplowed path slick. Leaner session virtual, snow globe behind screen, conflicts queue, realign values. He returned with olive branch, Elias's favorite empanadas from the bodega. Talk. Door cracked, Elias weary. Scared of losing you to the grind again. Confession cascaded, Dominic's fear of failure provisioning, Elias's of erasure in success's shadow. Hug mended, Harvey's intrusion, group hug. Ceiling. February's thaw, counter-strategy brewed. Dominic pitched board on microgrants, partnering with small queer creators, Elias consulting on art tech hybrids. Approved, relief palpable. Valentine's, surprise gallery crawl, Harvey with sitter, ending at rooftop fondue, city Valentine below. My North, Elias toasted, chocolate-dipped strawberry to lips. March Madness, Harvey's spring concert, recorder squeaks charming chaos. Elias's book proofs arrived, editor joint labor, Dominic proofreading, catching Elias's metaphors mid-flight. Launch planned for summer, buzz building via podcasts. April showers, rain-drenched park days, Harvey splashing puddles, daddies drenched in laughter. But health check, Elias's follow-up, blood work routine. Results, anomaly flagged, biopsy urged. Dreads cloudburst. Waiting weeks stretched, Dominic's work faltering, emails unanswered, meetings zoned. Elias masked fear with clay, fists pounding wet earth into forms that screamed suppressed rage. Biopsy eve, loft tense, Harvey's bedtime story elongated, tales of brave nights. Alone, they clung, sex foregone for holding, tears salting skin. Whatever, Elias whispered, we warrior. Results day, oncologist's office, Priya's waiting room vibe but stakes lethal. Benign, the doc said, node a fluke inflammation. Euphoria crashed, hugs in hallway, Harvey's pick up a blur of whoops. Celebration, ice cream towers, Harvey sticky with triumph. May's bloom, book tour kicks off local, Brooklyn bookstore, crowd intimate, readings raw. Q&A, how'd cancer reshape? Elias showed love's the true sculpture. Dominic in front row, pride swelling. June's heat, Harvey's birthday 6, pool party at community center, cannonballs and cake. Gifts, bike from Ellen, sculpture tools from mom. Evening, family movie, up, balloons echoing lost loves, found families. July Inferno, non-profits VR exhibit opens, MoMA collab, Elias's pieces integrated, virtual voids explorable. Opening night gala, Harvey in bow tie, hobnobbing donors. Critics laud, Hail Crow redefine intersectional art. August escape, road trip to Niagara, falls thundering like catharsis. Harvey's or water magic. Missed kisses, rainbows arching promises. September's sharpen, school year 2, Harvey's reading leap. Elias's torn national, Chicago stop, Ellen hosting launch. Dominic tags along, panel syncing work. October's chill, summit in Seattle, full circle, Space Needle toast with old contacts. Elias stays home, but FaceTime bridges, climb proud. November gratitude, expanded table, Theo's partner, Marcus's circle. Turkey carved, story spun. December dash, Harvey's holiday craft fair, ornament sold for Daddy's art fund. tree lighting, lights mirroring eyes. January renew, resolutions joint, weekly dates, monthly retreats. Non-profit stabilizes, microgrants thriving. February frost, anniversary 8, dinner recreating first date, Thai takeout on fire escape. Evolved, Elias toasts. March melt, Harvey's play, Lion in Wizard, Raw Mighty. After, cast party, Pride parental. April awaken, book hits shelves, signings surging. Reviews glow, a gay odyssey of heart and hammer. May's maypole, school picnic, Harvey's relay win, Daddy's cheering horse. June solstice, Pride march, family float, Harvey waving flags, Elias's banner love forges. July jubilee, beach redux, Harvey swimming fearless. August amber, adoption anniversary, party small, cake inscribed forever. September symphony, Harvey's violin start, screeches to sweetness. October harvest, Elias's harvest moon show, fall motifs, leaves in steel. November nest, Thanksgiving volunteer, soup kitchen, Harvey serving with smiles. December dream, holiday lights tour, Harvey's wonder eternal. Through it, meetings, the virtual visions of Elias, no ghost, but guiding light. The Pride March snake through Manhattan's arteries like a rainbow serpent, bass-thumping floats pulsing with anthems of defiance and desire, the air electric with glitter and chants that drowned out the summer swelter. Dominic hoisted Harvey onto his shoulders, the boy's rainbow cape fluttering as he waved a sign scrawled in marker, "My daddies are super." Elias marched beside, arm-linked, his forge badge glinting, ally, artist, alive. The crowd surged, queer kin of every stripe linking arms, histories marching forward, Stonewall's fire to today's fights for trans rights, foster equity, endless love. Harvey's giggles cut through horns, look, Daddy Eli, balloons. Elias grinned, stealing a kiss over the chaos, their family a microcosm of the whole. Post-march, the after-party in a Soho loft throbbed, drag queens lip-syncing gaga, body paint swirling, craft cocktails spiked with joy. Harvey, fizzed on mocktails, danced while till yawns won, Theo scooping him for crash pad duty. Alone in the throng, Dominic and Elias swayed to a remix of Born This Way, bodies close, sweat slick and sure. 8 years, Elias murmured into neck, breath hot. Feels like yesterday's spark. Dominic's hand traced spine. And tomorrow's forge. The night blurred into dawn, cab home a haze of hands and heat, loft welcoming with familiar creaks. August's amber haze deepened resolve. Harvey's adoption anniversary bash was backyard intimate, string lights, tamales from a Texas auntie via mail, kids from school tumbling on blankets. Elias's mom flew east, her Portland pragmatism softening in hugs, my boys built a world. Toast circled, Ellen's to roots and wings, Marcus's to loves that last. Harvey blew candles on a cake iced with armadillo, Wish whispered to Elias, stay healthy forever. September sharpened edges. School year kicked with Harvey's violin lessons, bow screeching like catfights, but Elias's patience infinite, counterpointing with guitar plucks. Dominic's non-profit navigated choppy grants, federal shifts favoring a broad appeal, queer specific squeezed. Late calls with funders wore grooves, Elias countering with unplugged rituals, Thursday walks in Greenwood Cemetery, gravestones whispering impermanence, hands clasped over history's hush. October's harvest moon hung low, Elias's show a revelation, lunar forges, steel orbs cratered with light, evoking cycles of wax and wane. Opening drew hordes, Harvey in tiny suit unveiling a kid-scale piece, his moon rocker a hit. Critics cooed, Crow's domesticity infuses cosmic ache. After party at the loft, wine flowing, Theo's playlist mellowing to jazz. Marcus pulled Dominic aside amid clinks, Elias glows. Fatherhood suits. Dominic clinked back. Us all. November's nestle, Thanksgiving at a shelter volunteer gig, Harvey ladling soup with solemn focus, faces lit by gratitude's glow. Helping feels good, he said later, mittened hands in Dominic's. Evening unwind, family charades, Elias's dramatic cancer battle mind dissolving in laughs, scars as punchlines, healing's humor. December's dreamscape, holiday lights crawl through Brooklyn's glow, Harvey's nose pressed to window, cataloging best blue. Tree trim tradition evolved, Harvey hanging wire stars Elias forged, Dominic stringing code printed tags with messages, strength, joy. Gifts thoughtful, Harvey's storybook of two dad tales, Elias's custom sketchpad, leather bound, Dominic's weekend getaway voucher, Bermuda bound. January's renewal dawned crisp, resolutions etched on fridge, one adventure monthly, gratitude journals. Non-profits winter retreat in the Catskills, snowshoeing sessions on team building, Dominic facilitating vulnerability circles where staff shared coming out scars. Elias and Harvey joined for weekend, cabin cozied with hot toddies, Harvey's snow angel army marching. February's frostbite flirt, anniversary 9th, replay of TIE fire escape, but upgraded, rooftop reservation, skyline serenade by string quartet. Vows refreshed impromptu, through scans and symphonies, Elias pledged, pixels and palettes, Dominic echoed. Home, Harvey's sitter banished, better haven of rediscovery. March's meltwater rush, Harvey's school play, The Lion, The Witch, Edmund's sly charm his, curtain call bows earning roses. Rehearsals meant carpool tag teams, Elias's studio run syncing with Dominic's zooms. One rainy pickup, Harvey's backpack soaked, confession tumbling, friend says two daddies weird. Heart sync. Home huddle, Elias's families are flavors, ours spicy, Dominic's book on diverse homes. Next day note to teacher sparked class talk, Harvey returning proud, told Rem your best. April's awakenings, book tour leg 2, spring signings in Boston, Philly, Dominic tagging for one. Panels on queer parenthood in art, crowds hungry for real. Back, Harvey's Easter egg hunt in park, dyes streaking faces like war paint. May's maypole whirl, school picnic, Harvey's sack race tumble into giggles, daddy's anchoring picnic blankets with queer lit reads. Elias's community workshop, kids forging mini sculptures, Harvey's robot dad a star. June's solstice fire, pride redux, family booth at street fair, a VR demos of Elias's worlds, Harvey handing flags. Evening barbecue, Theo's grill master, stories of March's past. July's jubilation, beach bonanza, Jersey Shore rental, waves crashing Harvey's castles, Elias sketching surf, Dominic building sand circuits. Bonfire S'mores, ghost stories gentle, and they lived queerly ever after. August's afterglow, adoption check-in with Priya, now friend, Harvey's growth chart soaring, family photos pinned. Model unit, she beams. September's symphony swell, Harvey's violin recital, twinkle trembling to triumph, Elias's guitar duo encore. Applause thunders, post-pizza pride. October's ochre, Harvest Fest upstate, corn maze lost in laughs, pumpkin carve Harvey's scare-acute grin. November's nurture, shelter feast again, Harvey's pie contribution lauded. Home, gratitude circle, for daddy's hugs, Harvey pipes. December's delight, lights tour escalated, subway sleigh ride, Harvey's carols off-key charm. January's ignition, retreats planned, Puerto Rico whispers. February's fervor, anniversary 10th looming, vow renewal tease. March's murmur, Harvey's science fair, a volcano erupt, daddy's helped. April's aria, book sequel brainstorm, kin continued. May's mirth, picnic redux, Harvey's poetry slam debut. June's jubilee, pride float build, Harvey's design rainbow robot. July's jaunt, shall return, Harvey's snorkeling brave. August's anchor, Priya's alumni picnic, families swapping war stories. September's spark, recital BIS, Harvey's solo so to joy. October's oasis, fest full, apple cider toasts. November's nexus, feast volunteer, Harvey's helper badge. December's dazzle, tree with VR lights, Harvey's awe. Yet, in boardroom's glow, Elias's video thumbnail, smiling, steadfast, no haunt, but heart. The 10th anniversary dawned with fanfare subtle, coffee in bed, Harvey's tray wobbling with toast hearts. Vow renewal on the promenade, justice same as wedding, circle intimate, Ellen, Mom, Theo, Marcus. Words evolved, through cancers and codes, sculptures and startups. Rings exchanged anew, Harvey ring bearer beaming. Post-ceremony brunch in Dumbo, mimosas and mussels, toasts layering decades. To decades more, Vanessa, now board ally, clinked. Afternoon free, family ferry to statue, Harvey's Liberty Ore, Elias sketching torch. Evening, surprise gala, non-profit bash honoring them, Hail Crow Impact Award. Stage shared, speech joint, Dominic on Tex Bridge, Elias on ART Soul. Harvey presented plaque, My Heroes. Nightcap loft, champagne chilled, bed petals strewn. Lovemaking tender, fierce, bodies maps of time, scars badges. Post-bliss, whispers, future sketches, Harvey's college funds, Elias's museum retrospective, Dominic's TED Talk dream. Crisis subtle, Harvey's tween hints, want a sibling. Talk circles, fostering pondered. Agency chats restart, hearts open. Healing's horizon, therapy tune-ups, date night sacred. Through every pitch, Elias's echo, partner, not phantom. The fostering seminar reconvened in that same Park Slope Center, but now with Harvey doodling superheroes on the margins of their notepad, his 11-year-old frame slouched in adolescent nonchalance, yet eyes sharp with curiosity. Carla, grayer but no less radiant, updated slides, sibling sets prioritized, older kids overlooked gems. Dominic exchanged glances with Elias, the loft's nursery nook long repurposed to teen study den, but space in hearts infinite. Twice parents. Elias mouthed, half grin hiding the gravity. Harvey piped up during break, cool if we get a brother? For 4 building. Laughter eased the weight, but nights after, talks deepened, Harvey's readiness, their bandwidth post-Elias's health scare. Winter wrapped the decision in contemplative snow. Application submitted, home study refresh with Priya, now godmother figure, probing Harvey's involvement. He aced the interview, she reported, his essay on why family rocks pinned to fridge. Elias channeled nerves into a series, waiting rooms, benches in wire evoking limbo sit. Dominic's non-profit piloted a foster VR program, simulations easing transitions, Harvey beta testing with glee, feels real. January's ice cracked with match, siblings, ages 9 and 12, Lila and Mateo, from Philly's overburdened system, mom in recovery, dad deported years prior. Virtual meets first, Zoom squares flickering shy smiles, Lila's braid swinging as she showed drawings, Mateo's soccer ball thumps echoing. Harvey bonded instant, play Fortnite. Approval cascade, visits planned, Philly drives tense with hope. First in person, Greyhound station, siblings clutching backpacks, caseworker hovering. Hugs awkward, then warm, Lila's to Elias, you make stuff like my uncle. Mateo's fist bump to Dominic, cool job. Drive home, backseat chatter, Harvey's tour guide patter on Brooklyn's best pizza. Loft tour, bunks installed, art walls kid height. Overnight trial, games till lights out, midnight whispers easing fears. Transition torrent, courts, signatures, bags unpacked. Lila's nightlights banished shadows, Mateo's cleats mudded entry. Chaos charmed, for at breakfast, cereal wars, school shuttles doubled. Harvey mentored, daddies fix everything. Elias's studio sessions now group, kids hammering metal, sparks flying joy. Spring surge, sibling dynamics danced, Lila's bossy artist streak clashing Harvey's lead, Mateo's goalie drills in park turning competitive. Fights flared, my room. No fair. But family meetings, circle on rug, feelings aired, mended. Dominic's work flexed, flexible hours, non-profits foster arm expanding resources. Summer symphony, camp co-op, kids in cabins, daddies volunteering crafts. Elias's guitar circles, Dominic's tech workshops, coding forts. Evening reunions, Esmore's stories, Lila's ghost of Wheeler, tales prompting hugs. Falls Forge, school tetrad, backpacks quadrupled, PTA doubled. Lila's dance, Mateo's scrimmage, Harvey's orchestra, calendar kaleidoscope. Elias's retrospective loomed, MoMA Annex, Crow, lives in metal, family as muses. October's apex, show opening, Kids in Finery, Lila unveiling kid commissioned piece, A Family Tree in Rebar. Critics throng, Crow's domestic epic. Gala after, stretch limo surprise, kids wide-eyed at caviar. Home, midnight milkshakes, Matteo, best night. November's nurture, mega Thanksgiving, Ellen, Mom, Theo's clan, shelter friends. Table groaned, Turkey's twin, Harvey's pie pumpkin. Gratitude chain, Lila's new sisters, Matteo's soccer team daddies. December's dazzle, lights tour epic, subway to SantaCon, elf hats on all. Tree trim, ornaments multiplied, kids crafts clinking. January's jolt, Harvey's tween storm, why us adopters? Heart talks, Elias's chosen strongest. Teen therapy group starts, bonds budding. February's fire, anniversary 11th, renewal intimate, kids as witnesses. Vows, through quartets and quakes. March's melody, Lila's recital pirouettes, family front row. April's awakening, Matteo's championship goal, cheers deafening. May's mirth, school fair booths, VR games, art sales. June's jubilee, pride mega, float family-led, kids chanting. July's jaunt, shore house, beach volleyball, sandcastles sibling built. August's anchor, foster anniversary, picnic, Priya toasting village victory. September's spark, orchestra concert, Lila's jazz elective. October's oasis, retrospective travels, MoMA to Chicago, family tagging. November's nexus, feast at shelter, kids serving sides. December's dream, VR holiday special, kids voicing elves. January's ignition, plans for teen trips, national parks. February's fervor, anniversary doesn't tease. March's murmur, Harvey's science win, foster bot. April's aria, Lila's play lead, fairy fierce. May's maypole, picnic with games galore. June's glow, pride, kid signs shining. Yet climax crested quiet. Elias's check-up routine, shadow on lung scan, precautionary, but biopsy loomed. Loft hushed, kids shielded, daddy's check like tune-up. Waiting weeks, family fort building, movie marathons, Harvey's we're team unbeatable. Results, malignant, stage 1, operable. World wobbles. Surgery scheduled, chemo chaser. Rally, Ellen's flights, Mom's recipes, Theo's laughs. Kids roles, Lila's art cards, Matteo's playlists, Harvey's research binges. Operation, hospital vigil, Dominic pacing, kids' drawings taped to bed. Wake, Elias groggy, thumbs up weak. Tough as wire. Recovery crawl, homebound haze, kids tiptoeing, meals rotated. Elias's humor, bald's bold, new look. Chemo cycles, nausea nights, Dominic holding hairless head, beautiful. Spring stubborn bloom, remission whispers, scans promising. Family therapy, fears family too, Lena guides. Bonds braze, kids maturity, we got you. Summer's salve, gentle camp, Elias guest artist, demo seated. Fall's fortitude, school stride, Elias's adjunct teach, art of endurance. October's triumph, post-op show, scar symphonies, wounds as wonders. November's balm, Thanksgiving tear-free, thanks thunderous. December's defiant dazzle, lights brighter, tree taller. January's jubilee, clear scan party, kids cheers confetti. Through boardroom's virtual veils, Elias's face, scarred, smiling, guardian eternal, ghost no more. Healing's arc bent toward light. Non-profits foster tech scaled nationwide, Elias consulting, family as case study. Kids thrived, Harvey's coding club lead, Lila's mural project, Matteo's varsity soccer. Anniversary stacked, 12th, 13th, Vows vineyard, kids officiating. Teens tumbled, driver's ed Rex, first crushes navigated, safe loves, Elias counsels. Empty nest loomed distant, but legacy lived, kids' futures forged in their fire. Old age crept graceful, silver curls on Elias, laugh lines Dominic's map. Retirement shared, upstate cabin, sculptures in woods, VR archives tended. Final days, Elias fading soft, cancer's quiet return. Hospice home, kids grown visiting, Harvey's hand in his, you taught flying. Lila's songs, Mateo's stories. Last breath, family haloed, Dominic's love eternal. Grief tidal, but gratitude's tide higher. Legacy, foundation in their name, art for adoptees, tech for queer youth. In every meeting, grandkids' pitches, board echoes, Elias's spirit, not spectre, but soul woven.